भ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओके, प्लीज रिपीट। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो
हे
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम
ओम
नमो
नमो भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Okay, so we are now reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, text Canto 1, Chapter 1, text 17. This is very interesting because we stopped exactly at this position for reading, and our classes are also continuing exactly at this point. So we'll see how much we can cover today. So we are discussing the prayers, not the prayers, but the conversation. In one sense, they are prayers. Um, Recited by Shaunaka Rishi to Suta Goswami at the very beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And these prayers are very instructive. So we'll continue on today. Okay. Um, so text 17. Tasya karmani udarani parigitani suribihi bruhi na shraddadhananam leelaya dadata kalaha. So, his transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great learned sages like Narada sing of them. Please, therefore, speak to us who are eager to listen, who are eager to hear about the adventures he performs in his various incarnations. So, Supreme Personality of God's activities are magnificent. You see, we are so fortunate. We have the Srimad Bhagavatam. We have these amazing Puranas that describe all the different activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whereas, if you see um, other religions, for instance, you take the Abrahamic religions like Islam or Christianity, they don't know. They say praise the Lord. They don't know anything about the Lord. They don't know anything what the Lord does. They their conception of God is all that they know is God in a limited fashion related to this material world, and even that is not very perfect because they don't have an understanding of Maya. Can you imagine? There's no understanding of Maya in Abrahamic religions. There is no understanding of three modes of material nature in Abrahamic religions. There is no conception of even reincarnation in Abrahamic. Christianity, most followers of Christianity and Islam don't accept reincarnation. So even their knowledge of the material aspect is so limited. And in that limited material aspect, they try to praise God. They try to say, okay, God created the beautiful clouds, He created the ocean in this, and so God is great and He protects those who worship Him. But they don't know the magnificent activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what are they? As it said here, adventures. Supreme Lord performs so many adventures. It's a very adventurous um, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? He's Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer. I mean, if you look at the Abrahamic conceptions of God, it may seem like the people today, the way they live lives, seems that their lives are more exciting than what goes on in heaven. Because what goes on in heaven? And then what do they think goes on in heaven? Actually, that's the amazing thing, right? What do they think when they go on in heaven? They only think they're going to enjoy their senses, that's all. They have no other conception. Bhakti Vikas Maharaj quotes, a famous, I think he was the Archbishop or someone of England. And so, what would you do when you go to heaven? Well, for the first 1,000 years, I'll glorify God and then I'll enjoy. So that's what they think. They don't have, and in fact, some religions directly, openly say that when you go to heaven, there are 72 virgins waiting for you. So 72 virgins waiting for you means the motivation is sex, not God. They worship God to get something from Him. So, anyways, but the Bhagavatam and the Vedic literatures, they point us to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose life, the spiritual life of Krishna, is far more exciting than anything found in this material world. And we are being called to that. We are being asked to become attracted to that. And great learned sages like Narada sing of these pastimes continuously. So Prabhupada says the personality of Godhead is never inactive, as some less intelligent persons suggest. His works are magnificent and magnanimous. The thing is, almost every theist will accept God's works are magnificent and magnanimous. But how magnificent, how magnanimous, we should know. And in this regard, we should understand that as devotees of Krishna, we should know of his pastimes. Devotees of Krishna should read Krishna book. They should know which are the demons Krishna killed, who are who are the different associates of Krishna. What did Krishna do? They should know. They should know Ramayana. They should know the pastimes of Lord Rama. They should know the pastimes of all the other incarnations. You know, okay, what did Matsya do? We should know. What did the Kurma avatar do? We should know. And there are so many incarnations of the Lord. It is our duty to know about this. Why? Why know about this? Okay. Say you love someone. They're very, very dear to you. But you don't know what they did. They're very dear to you. You know them. They're very close to you. Say, oh, so you know him very well. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay, okay. What does he like to do in his free time? I don't know. Okay. What does he like to eat? I don't know. What is his wife's name? I don't know. What is his name? I don't know. What is his address? I don't know. Then what do you love? What kind of love is that? It doesn't exist. So the process of devotional service, bhakti yoga, it's actually a very natural process. Sometimes it's like, oh Prabhuji, you know, Krishna consciousness is so hard. It's not hard. We do it every day for everything. But we should want to do it for Krishna. That's the point. That is the whole point of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada says, his creations are both material and spiritual, are all wonderful and contain all variegatedness. So spiritual also contains variegatedness. They describe nicely by such liberated souls such as Sri Narada, Vyasa, Valmiki, Devala, Asita Madhva, Sri Chaitanya, Ramanuja, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, Sridhara, Vishwanatha, Baladev, Bhakti Vinod, Siddhanta Saraswati, and many other learned and self-realized souls. These creations, both material and spiritual, are full of opulence, beauty, and knowledge. But the spiritual realm is more magnificent due to its being full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. So, this realm is not magnificent. Why? Because it is filled with ignorance, it is filled with misery, and it is temporary. Versus that which is eternal, that which is spiritual, is knowledge, bliss, and eternity. Sat Chit Ananda. So, this is Sat is eternity, Chit is knowledge, and Ananda is bliss. The material creations are manifested for some time as perverted shadows of the spiritual kingdom and can be likened to cinemas. They attract people of less intelligent caliber who are attracted by false things. Such foolish men have no information of the reality and they take it for granted that the false material manifestation is all in all. From this, you can understand that those who are attracted to cinemas are less intelligent. Okay, so devotees are supposed to be more intelligent. They are not supposed to be less intelligent. So please don't watch cinemas and movies and waste your life and waste your time. There is nothing in it. It is completely imagination. Totally imagination. Has no relevance to our reality. Oh, but it is some entertainment. That is because your reality is miserable. That is because your reality is boring, that you need entertainment. But for sages like Narada Muni, as it said over here, how many of these people? Narada, Vyasa, Valmiki, Devala, Asita, Madhva, Chaitanya, Ramanuja, Vishnu Swami, all these people, they are continuously describing. They don't need entertainment. So, Prabhuji, take little break from describing Krishna's pastimes. Come, let's go and see, let's watch Toy Story or some nonsense. No, even if you pay $1 million, you can never. In fact, some of the devotees here were also saying, this is like one of the devotees, it just hit me the other day that some of the brahmacharis is like, even if you pay me $1 million, I will not, I don't want to give up what I'm doing right now. And they don't have money, they don't have, they own nothing. Their schedule, everything is given. And I mean, what would you think? Why are you working? For who are you working? I'm working for Krishna. But mundane people cannot understand this. They cannot understand that. They think, oh, no, no, some institution is exploiting you, you're being brainwashed, this, that. No, but they don't understand because such foolish men have no information of the reality. And they take it for granted that the false material manifestation is all in all. That, okay, this money, this movie, this watching cricket match, this wasting this kind, this is life. They don't know anything better. And if you tell them that there is something better, they don't believe it. The example that's given in this regard is the frog in the well. So the story is that um, there was a friend of the frog who went and saw the ocean, and then came back to the well where the frog was located. And he comes and tells the frog, I see, I went and saw something so big, such a huge body of water. It's called the ocean. Oh, so the frog says, oh, how big is it? It's very, very big. How can I describe how much water is there? Too much. How can I describe? Oh, but we have such a big well. There's more water than this. Oh, it is incomprehensible. I cannot. Oh, maybe what is it? 2 times big? 3 times big? Maybe it is like 3 times, 4 times big. And what the story goes in such a way that the frog is trying to puff himself up. He's expanding. He's saying, oh, is it this big? Is it that big? This guy saying, no, 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 no. And then finally the frog explodes. So it's a comical story. But the point is, the frog is unable to conceive of how something could be as big as that. It's incomprehensible. Like sailors will tell you in the oceans that sometimes at rough seas, they can face up to 100 feet high waves in the ocean. We have only had experience seeing maybe biggest ocean waves we see are maybe 10-15 feet. So how can you imagine what is 100 feet wave? Can we? It's very difficult to imagine. And that's the experience of somebody like, until you haven't experienced something, you cannot conceive of it. For those people who live in tropical countries, remember snow. You can't conceive of that. You can't make it. You can never see it. There's no way to conceive of this snow. So the first time you go and see it, it's like, wow, this is like amazing. Like, what is this? It's falling from the sky. It's white and it's light and it's water. It melts into water. But can you make that at home? No. You can't make this fluffy snow. You can't make it. You can make ice at home. You can't make snow at home. So it's inconceivable for us. But those who are less intelligent, they don't think that, oh, there are things beyond our level of conception. They think what we have here is all in all. So, but more intelligent men, guided by sages like Vyasa and Narada, know that the eternal kingdom of God is more delightful, larger, and eternally full of bliss and knowledge. It's also larger. Those who are not conversant with the activities of the Lord and his transcendental realm are sometimes favored by the Lord in his adventures as incarnations, wherein he displays the eternal bliss of his association in the transcendental realm. See, although Krishna doesn't really need to come to the material world, but he does so in order to show us that there is something called a transcendental realm. There is a transcendental realm where he experiences eternal bliss. And his Prabhupada says here that those who are not conversant, means those who are less intelligent or those who are just ignorant, they are favored by the Lord when he comes in the form of his incarnations and he displays that to them. Some of these conditioned souls, and so by such activities, he attracts the conditioned souls of the material world. Some of these conditioned souls are engaged in the false enjoyment of the material senses, and others simply negating their real life in the spiritual world. These less intelligent persons are known as karmis, fruitive workers, and jnanis, or dry mental speculators. So we should not be karmis or jnanis. Devotees should be bhaktas. But above these two classes of men is the transcendentalist known as sattvata, or the devotee who is busy neither with rampant material activity nor with material speculation. He is engaged in the positive service of the Lord, and thereby he derives the highest spiritual benefit unknown to the karmis and jnanis. As the supreme controller of both the material and spiritual worlds, the Lord has different incarnations of unlimited categories. Incarnations like Brahma, Rudra, Manu, Prithu, and Vyas are his material qualitative incarnations. But his incarnations like Rama, Narasimha, Varaha, and Vamana are his transcendental incarnations. Lord Sri Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations, and is therefore the cause of all causes. So there are material qualitative incarnations: Rudra, Manu, Prithu, Vyasa. Why are they called materially qualitative? Because their function is within the material world. They have come to execute a particular task in the material world. Therefore, their activities are in relation with the material world. Rudra is destroying the world. That is his activity. Brahma is creating the world. And Manu wrote Dharma Shastras. He is given the Manu Samhita. He is given Dharma Shastras. And he is the first human, and from him all the humans come forth. So he is responsible for creating that progeny. This is all in relation to the material world. But if you take Narasimha, Varaha, Vamana, even though they may execute pastimes in the material world, their pastimes are going eternally in the spiritual world. Those forms are eternal, their associates are eternal, and they do these pastimes in multiple universes, and they also have their own planets in the spiritual world where they are enjoying pastimes with their devotees. In the material world they are killing demons. In the spiritual world there is no killing demons, but they enjoy pastimes. There's so many pastimes that are going on between the Lord. Like for instance, Narasimha is constantly worshipped by Prahlad in the spiritual world, and similarly Varaha is enjoying with Bhudevi in the spiritual world. So many things are there. Rama's Ayodhya, and all the associates, they are there eternally. And Lord Ramachandra is the ruler of that planet. And that is going on eternally. So those are transcendental. They are above the material world. Their activities are going on over there. Sometimes they come down, briefly display and disappear, but there it is continuously going on. It's not that when the Supreme Lord comes from the spiritual world down to the material world, there it becomes empty. No. He just expands. What about his associates? They also expand. How is that possible? It's possible by the mercy of Krishna. Anything is possible by the mercy of Krishna. Okay, next verse, text 18. अथाख्या हि हरे धीमन् अवतार कथा शुभाः लीला विदततः स्वैरम् ईश्वरस्यात्म मायया. Oh, wise Suta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. So, Ishwarasya Mayaya, that his activities are not, see, our activities are controlled by karma, right? Like, for instance, right now, I have a pretty bad blister on my foot, and it just so happens to be that this blister exists the day before I'm supposed to fly international. So this is not my pastime. This is my karma, that I am suffering sinful reactions of past sinful activities, and the material desires still exist in my heart, and this is not my this, for instance, this is not my transcendental pastime whereby I am limping like this so that a few devotees can help me around. I am giving service. No, I am simply a conditioned soul and I am forced to undergo this. It's not my free will. But Krishna, that is because I am controlled by the external energy, Maya, of the Supreme Lord. I am controlled by his external Durga Devi, that she is the Lord, she is the mistress of the material world. But Krishna's pastimes are not like that. You see, when Krishna was shot by Bhishma and he is apparently bleeding, this is all his transcendental pastime. In fact, in Bhishma Stuti, which we will be seeing soon after this, Bhishma meditates on that form of the Lord, where he says he meditates on the form of the Lord bleeding from his arrows. It's kind of like unimaginable. Oh, what is this? But Acharyas explain this is Virya Rasa. That Bhishma enjoyed that kind of a relationship with Krishna. He considered himself a servant, but his service was to put up a good challenge and evoke Krishna's great love for Arjuna. That Krishna's love for Arjuna was so great that he decided to give up his vow that he would not pick up a weapon. Why? Just to show the world that even if Krishna makes a vow, if it is something that he needs to give up in order to protect his devotee, he will give up his vow like giving up a fig. He will not care. He does not care. And therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that he said, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat chantim nigachati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktah pranashyati. That, O Arjuna, declare it boldly to the world, declare it to everybody. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Not only do you understand, you also understand, but go and tell others also. Name bhaktah pranashyati. My devotee will never perish. My devotee will never be destroyed. And why is Krishna telling Arjuna to tell that? Why is he not saying it himself? Because he knows that if I say it myself, people will say, Arey, you gave up your vow also. So why will I believe you? Okay, you don't believe me, but my devotee, he keeps his vow. I will give up my vow to protect my devotee's vow. And therefore, the devotee never gives up his vow. So therefore, Krishna wanted Arjuna to declare it to the world. So, Krishna, Bhishma had this service where he evoking this love, because who can put up a good fight with Arjuna? Who can actually make it to the extent that Arjuna might even be killed? That was Bhishma. How did it happen? Because he's a devotee of Krishna. He's able to do that. And it became as if like, even Krishna became so angry at Bhishma. He became so angry. And then he picks up the chariot wheel. That becomes a weapon. Because when you pick up something to attack, then it becomes a weapon. I can take anything, even when I pick up a stone is a stone. But when I fling a stone, that becomes a weapon, that becomes a projectile. So then it becomes a weapon. So Krishna took up that weapon, and immediately Bhishma put down all his weapons and said, Krishna, here I am, kill me right now. Right now, kill me. But then Arjuna drags Krishna. It's a beautiful painting that you can see. Let's see if I can find that. Bhishma, Krishna, Arjuna. Yes, there it is. So this painting, if you see, such a beautiful painting. You can see here, Arjuna is trying to drag Krishna. Krishna has his chariot wheel. He's about to fling it, and Bhishma has put down all his weapons and is standing there. I used to, when I had Bhagavad Gita, this was one of the paintings that was there. And I would just look at this painting, so mesmerized by it. Even the shoes that Krishna are wearing is so beautiful. If you look at it, if you look at a little high quality photo, and just the scene of everything, the chaos that's around in the field, and then Krishna taking this, and he's and the smoke that's the dust that's billowing out, because literally Krishna is dragging Arjuna. He's having so much anger against Bhishma. And Bhishma is thinking, I have pleased the Supreme Lord. How does he know? It looks like Lord is angry. How is Bhishma knows that he has pleased the Lord? Because he's a pure devotee. He's a pure devotee. Non-devotees can never understand this. They can never understand. They will never be able to understand why Bhishma is also devotee of Krishna. Arjuna is also devotee of Krishna. What is this? Krishna is going and killing Bhishma. And what is this? What is this whole nonsense that's going on between Krishna and Arjuna? Why is he letting one devotee fight against another? They can never understand. They cannot conceive of this. They cannot conceive of it. These are the adventures, the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And it's just almost everything is flying. Krishna's hair even has become undone. His hair is starting to, because he's so angry, so furious. He's coming at great, and Arjuna is every minute, every moment counts here. Because the moment Krishna lets that chariot wheel go, it will turn into Sudarshan Chakra and cut off Bhishma's head. And Arjuna, why is Arjuna anxious? He does not want his lord to become criticized. You promised to Duryodhana that you would not lift a weapon and you will not fight in this battle. Please don't do this. So it's a really amazing pastime. It's just this one because so much is there in this pastime. So This is performed by his internal power, Yogamaya. Okay, purport. For the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material worlds, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself appears in many thousands of forms of incarnations, and the specific adventures found in those transcendental forms are all auspicious. All auspicious. Both those who are present during such activities and those who hear such the transcendental nations of such activities are benefited. So, what is the glory? We heard this pastime of Bhishma. We heard this pastime of Arjuna, right? Now, when we hear it from the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are getting the same benefit that Arjuna and Bhishma experienced. Can we conceive of this? It's very difficult, but it is possible. Why? Because they are transcendental, supreme person. Oh, but that happened 5,000 years ago. No, Baba, fool. Krishna's pastimes are not limited by time. You and I are limited by time. Krishna is not limited by time. Therefore, Krishna's pastimes can manifest here, now, anywhere, wherever, any place, any location, and to anyone. That is Krishna's own sweet will. So, this is the nature of Krishna's wonderful pastimes. Okay, text 19. Vayam tu na vitripyama uttama shloka vikrame yachrinvatam rasajnanam swadu swadu pade pade. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. So this is also described in Bhagavad Gita, where it is stated Krishna. Suddenly now I'm not remembering. It said that it's like at the tip of my tongue, and now I can't say it. Anyway, see, this is not my pastime. This is my karma. So so Krishna's pastimes, but we can see even just this little pastime that we discussed of Bhishma, it's just so much nectar. You can just dive deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And you can take that and you can take every scene of Mahabharata and you can connect it. And then you can connect Bhishma's, that painting. And then you can take Bhishma's Stuti and connect every verse. And it's like, oh, so much nectar. So they never become tired. And that should be our qualification, is that someday, most of the time when we sit in the Bhagavatam class, or when we read the books or something, we just want to fall asleep. That's all. There is no taste. There is no taste. But we should get that taste. And that's why it says those who have developed a taste for transcendental pastimes, taste for transcendental relationships with him, relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. So how do we develop? Prabhuji, how do I develop that taste? Well, we have to develop a relationship with Krishna. And in order to develop a relationship with Krishna, what should we do? We have to follow the process. We have to chant our rounds attentively. We have to read the books. We have to prioritize these things. You see, when we want to do something, say we have a flight to catch tomorrow, then we'll adjust our sleep time, we'll adjust eating, we'll adjust everything, and we'll make sure we catch the flight. But when it comes to reading, chanting, this, that, if we put it the last priority, then that's where our taste also will be. So that's the secret, is that when you have a relationship with someone, you prioritize them, you give priority to them. And by giving priority to them, the relationship becomes more important, it becomes more valuable. If you don't give priority, when a boy is starting to fall in love with a girl, he starts to give priority to that girl in his life. I fell in love, but then nothing has changed. Whenever she calls, he doesn't answer, or whenever there's no text messages, he says, I'm busy, this, that. Nothing is different. He still, then there is no love. The relationship doesn't exist. So that is why Bhakti Yoga, it's such a natural process. But, ultimately, we struggle because we are averse to Krishna. That's why we are in this material world. It's very hard for us to accept. Even after becoming devotees, the fact of the matter is we are averse to Krishna. We are not as averse as we used to be, but we are in this material world because we were averse to Krishna, and that has to gradually go. It has to go away. But it still is, as the process of devotional service carries on, we still have it, and we have to gradually improve and reduce it, and then make it zero. So, purport. There is a great difference between mundane stories, fiction, or history and the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The histories of the whole universe contain references to the pastimes of the incarnations of the Lord. The Ramayana, um, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Puranas are histories of bygone ages recorded in connection with the pastimes of the incarnations of the Lord and therefore remain fresh even after repeated hearing. For example, anyone may read Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly throughout his life and yet find in them new light of information. This is just, it's so inconceivable. Mundane news is static, whereas transcendental news is dynamic, inasmuch as the spirit is dynamic and the matter is static. See, I'll give you somebody, you can take an experiment, right? You take 10 days newspaper, read it, then take 10 pages, 10 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita you take. Read the 10 newspaper again, read 10 verses of Bhagavad Gita again, and do this 2 3 times. You will see that you will become fed up even with just one reading. Second time when you go to that newspaper, you will be fed up. I already know this, I already know this, I already read this. There's nothing here. But when you read Bhagavad Gita, you will not feel that way. You will not feel I understood everything, I've seen everything. No, I didn't notice this. I'm restarting the Bhagavatam right now, reading it, and it just feels like I feel like I'm reading it for the first time in one sense, but at the same time, visibly, I'm more excited reading it this time than I was last time because I feel like I'm getting more depth or more seems the Bhagavatam seems to I mean, I'm able to read the Bhagavatam more this time. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe. It's the same number of words, same number of pages. It looks like ink on paper, and it's English words, but there is a transcendental nature to this. That it is not. It is dynamic. How it is dynamic is inconceivable, but we can experience it, but we cannot measure it like a material thing. How dynamic is it? How much does it stretch? First time reading, you get 5%. Second time reading, you get 15%. No, it's not like that. You can't measure it. So, those who have developed a taste for understanding the transcendental subject matter are never tired of hearing such narrations. One is quickly satiated by mundane activities, but no one is satiated by transcendental or devotional activities. By understanding this key point, we will understand why we need to give up sense gratification, why we need to give up um, cricket, why we need to give up eating at restaurants, why we need to give up smoking, drinking, cinemas, all these things. Because you go, oh my God, these ISKCON people, oh, they stop everything in life. You don't stop everything in life. We stop everything that is temporary, that you will become satiated with this, that you will not become satisfied, that this is not a pessimistic attitude, it is a realistic attitude. We don't hate anyone or anything. Well, there is one person we hate. They're called Mayavadis. We hate Mayavad, we hate Mayavadis. And there is a lecture by Bhakti Vikas Swami, Hate Mayavad to Love Krishna. It's a very important lecture. I recommend everybody to listen to it. And you will understand how hatred can be used in Krishna's service, because hatred also has a role in Krishna's service. So it is not we will become satiated by those mundane activities, and then we will search something else. But in order for us to experience transcendental activities where one will not be satiated, one has to give up the distractions. The more we give up the distraction, the more we experience the taste. Now the point is, the emphasis still is more on chanting and reading than giving up. If somebody asks, Prabhu, how to develop taste? The first thing I will say is not that you have to give up, give up, give up. Chant your rounds properly, read. But then the instructions is to give up. So that means that if you are getting taste, gradually you will start giving up. You shouldn't become averse to that. So both go hand in hand, but the emphasis is on the spiritual practice. Oh, I'm struggling, I'm still having taste. Okay, still chant your rounds, still read, still associate with devotees, still work for Krishna, and give your fruits. What are the fruits? Most people today's the fruits are their salary. Donate something to Krishna. That way your fruits are becoming purified. And then that way, what happens is your work also becomes for Krishna's service. So it's very important. These things are very important. This is the positive way in which Krishna consciousness can be practiced. Mundane literature, Uttama Shloka, indicates that literature which is not meant for nescience. Mundane literature is in the mode of darkness or ignorance, whereas transcendental literature is quite different. Transcendental literature is above the mode of darkness, and its light becomes more luminous with progressive reading and realization of the transcendental subject matter. The so called liberated persons are never satisfied by the repetition of the words Aham Brahmasmi. Such artificial realization of Brahman becomes hackneyed. And so, to relish real pleasure, they turn to the narrations of Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who are not so fortunate turn to altruism and worldly philanthropy. This means the Mayavad philosophy is mundane, whereas the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental. There is no pleasure in simply saying Aham Brahmasmi, Soham, 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 Soham. Nothing, there is no pleasure in that. Because there is no variety there. It is just you just understand that I am eternal. But there is no facility for performing activity. Because the Mayavadi say that you have to stop all activity. But the Bhagavatam gives us the explanation. And Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, activity is the very nature of the soul. We are not, for a single moment, we cannot be inactive. It is not possible. For some time, it may artificially seem like it is possible. But at some time, when the living entity wants to engage in activity, he will come down to the material world because he has no realization of the spiritual realm. And in this regard, you can see many Mayavadis, they say, oh, everything is, what is it? Brahman Satyam Jagat Mithya. The whole world is false. Brahman is everything. Actually, everything is Maya in this material world, and we are Brahman and everything is Brahman. But then they're very enthusiastic to open hospitals, feed the poor and do eye camps and blood donation camps and feed school children and this and that and so many kinds of activities they do. So why? Because they become attracted to altruism, or in today's world they also get into politics. Then you have you know sannyasis as chief ministers and all this kind of things. So anyways, the point is that um, Mayavad philosophy is mundane because they come down to such worldly activities which are pertaining to the material world. But those who are devotees, or those who are fortunate to turn to the narrations of Srimad Bhagavatam, they will become transcendental. They will go back to the spiritual world, and they will not be interested in the things of this material world. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there because I have to pack and do all these things because I'm leaving in the morning. So we will continue from text 20 in the following class. Now, as I said, the timings might change or will change for sure a little bit, but I have to see how it works in India. Most likely, I think the classes will begin at 7:30, just like the reading. And that makes it like, or I may do it at 7 o'clock, both the reading and the class, because then it's 5:30 in the morning in India. It's probably a good time. They're just done with Mangal Arati, and so I wouldn't have to go to Darshanarti or Guru Puja immediately. So that's probably what I'm going to do, but I'll let you know. Okay, any questions or comments? Yes, Narayan.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanwar Pranam
Thank
Jai Shri Prabhu.
you.
Prabhuji, just like in India, there's now wedding season, right? So my family,
That's
na,
why I'm going to India.
yeah, you are going for a brother marriage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just that for a minute I felt like is there something that I'm missing just because it was my like real like so close family's wedding, but I didn't went because I knew that if I'll go, they will drag me into this all those things and like dancing and like eating the food which you
Yeah.
are not supposed to. So because of that reason, I just like didn't mind. But when I saw like my family's picture without without myself, so for a minute I felt that it's just
Yeah,
something
it
that
felt, yeah, natural. It's natural, is it not? It's very natural. Um, it's natural because, um, that bodily connection, it won't go away so easily. So, what's your question?
it's just that in that mood, like what to do. Let's say you are and like you want to grow in bhakti, but at the same time you feel that there are some connections, of course, through this body which are bothering you.
Well, you have to see, but the body connections aren't supposed to be given too much importance.
Hmm.
Body connections are there. At the same time, we try. For me, for instance, I didn't get married, and I'm the older son,
Mm.
and so it's it just so happens that this particular one, if I don't go, it will very severely affect my relationship with my family in a very negative way, extremely negative way. And I'm also realistic to the extent of my relationship with them, that I'm not so uh, renounced in the sense that I have no connection with them. I don't really care. I have like nothing. I know devotees who are like that. It's quite amazing. But I know I'm not like that. Now, at the same time, um, I'm not going there. I'm not trying to spend as much time as they want. And I told them very clearly that I'm not going. First of all, good, at least in my family, they're not doing any of these movies and cinema songs and all of that kind of stuff. They're not doing that. So it's just mostly just rituals and taking photos and things like this. And but it's a case to case situation. But overall, the point is that we shouldn't do anything that will become highly detrimental to our Krishna consciousness. And yes, the family connections are there. Um, and especially those who are family people, grihasthas, it becomes more difficult for them to avoid such family commitments. You are just a bachelor. And, I know the circumstances with which, we spoke about that. And I would still think that it was good that you didn't go. Because what is the point? You know?
Exactly. So
So,
because they
so
they won't understand. So
they won't
that
understand, and they will never understand. Like my mother, she, after the marriage, they are doing some puja and this and that, and she wanted me to be there. I said I'm not going to be there. I don't want to go all the way. Otherwise, they never stop making demands, and one after demand after another. It never ends. So, yeah. So I mean, ultimately, um, one this is where one takes guidance, is because you take its personal case to case situation. And in those case to case situations, we can decide, and we can see, because you can ask senior devotees, okay, what should I do in this circumstance, what should I do in this situation, and then they can help you. Or other devotees can help you, because it's a case to case thing. It's not a hard and fast. Here's the thing: we are not actively trying to sever relationships with family. But when those relationships become detrimental to our Krishna consciousness, then those relationships take a backseat. For instance, if it is your father's birthday or mother's birthday, you are calling them and wishing them. It is not that you cannot wish. But if that leads to something else that becomes very detrimental, then it becomes a problem. So what happens is, generally, as one begins one's process in Krishna consciousness, it takes some time for the relatives and parents and everybody to understand where the lines are, where the boundaries are. That setting that line becomes the difficult part. Once the lines are set, it's relatively easy to know, okay, what level is the interaction, and the interaction stays within that level. Like, once my parents, yeah, again and again, they were talking about marriage. I told them, if you talk about marriage again, I will never talk to you. That's it. If you keep talking about this, I won't talk to you. I'm just going to, hang up. It's like, I'm not going to talk. And then they stopped. It was like, otherwise, you have to, sometimes you have to set, and it's not that easy. Everybody learns it. I also did extremes. I cut off completely. and this and that, but it didn't really work out. It wasn't sustainable. Um, you know, within For some people it was. For some people, having any connection was disturbing, and they cut off. They became peaceful. The point is, we should not unnecessarily create problems in Krishna consciousness. So, and that those problems can you can like for instance, if you start having big philosophy, like some devotees go and tell, when you're neophyte, you go and tell your mom, mom, actually you are not my mother, you know, we are not this body, you are not my mother, you know, who are you? You're not actually my mother, I am not actually your son, this is not actually your husband, all this is all Maya. This is the worst thing to go and tell them. I mean, at least especially when, because they see, it takes some, now some, for some Western people it might actually work, maybe, but it again, it's a case to case situation. Like in to my parents, I can be sitting here giving class and everybody could be like, oh Prabhuji, you are temple president Prabhuji, and this and that and all this kind of stuff, but to my parents I'm still the same nonsense. I mean, like, I will never be that kind of preacher, at least with my family. And it took me some time to realize that I'm not some great acharya there, and they are not willing to hear philosophy. In fact, the more I preach about those things, the more averse they become. But rather, I realized, okay, it's better to that if I just attract them with some good behavior. But not that I do everything that they want me to do. One of the reasons I left, one of my motivations to leave India and come to the States was so that I'm not around them always. Then I'm here, and here and there I meet them, but that's it. Like, I'm planning to go again, um, to India in January, February, March. I may see them for maybe 1 day or 2 days again, but I don't plan to spend time with them or anything. Oh, you spent 3 months in India and you're not coming and spending time. Oh, whatever. What am I supposed to? I spent time with you, came for the marriage. No, that's all.
Hmm.
It's a case to case thing, really. Not not such an easy thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't recommend every brahmachari in this ashram to go for their siblings' wedding. I don't like it myself, but anyway, this is my situation. So it depends from case to case. It's really the case to case thing. But I mean, at the same time, I did get permission from Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. I asked him specifically about this because, he is my authority. So
Yeah.
I asked him permission, and, Maharaj gave permission. So I'm going. Um, but that's also because Maharaj knows, he's met my parents. He's, everything. He knows this whole, he knows the whole, he knows my fallen and my whole, situation, condition, nature. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank
Mohan
you.
Madhav, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam Jai Srila
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Prabhu, I had a question. I really enjoyed when you were speaking about uh, Bhishma's exchange with Lord Krishna.
Yeah, so
And,
nectar.
uh, my question is to reach that level of devotion, like, first of all, why is a regulated process, like regulated practice, required to develop that level of devotion, like our acharyas prescribed? Because we see that in so many other sampradayas, they follow different processes and they're not very regulated. It's kind of relaxed. I mean, I don't want to take names or anything, but why is it like that? And second is how to develop faith that this kind of a process will actually surely help me achieve that level of devotion.
So
So, what I wanted to ask.
it's not true that the other sampradayas are not regulated. They don't emphasize on those regulations anymore. That's the reality today. Um, if you're a Sri Vaishnava, you know, um, at least as a Brahmin, there's a lot of rules and regulations that one needs to follow. And you have to perform Trikala Sandhya Vandanam because they are a Varnashrama system, so they have so many rituals that they need to perform. Um, In fact, in the past, there will be no Sri Vaishnava will have, and Sri Vaishnava Brahmin will not have a Shalagrama in their house. That means daily worship of Shalagram. Daily worship of Shalagram is regulated. It requires time. It requires effort. Madhvas also. If you look at Madhva, it is they have the Ashtamatas, and they have what is called Paryaya. So this Paryaya is every 2 years one of the mutts gets charge of Krishna Mata, which is the temple, the Udupi Krishna temple, and they get to do all the worship. And entire families will give up all their other duties and come and live in Udupi just to help that mutt run that temple. And it was considered a great pride, and they would have to cook, they would have to clean, and my God, their rituals are the Madhvas. If you see, if you've ever been to Udupi, you will see, for instance, they have this temple of Lord Shiva nearby, where Madhvacharya used to lecture. So there they have a well. So the pujaris have to take bath in that well there, and then completely wet, they would go into the altar. That's their sampradaya, but they have to maintain such level of cleanliness, suchi, they have to maintain. And the chant, Sandhya Vandanam is just the utter basic. We are, I'm mentioning this because you come from a Brahmin background, that for those who just have to do Sandhya Vandanam, it feels like, oh, I don't have time for this, you know. Who has time? People don't want to do this. You have to spend half hour, 20 minutes, half hour, morning, afternoon, evening. Nobody has time to do that. What to speak of performing so much worship on top of that? Because Sandhya Vandanam is just basic. So there are these rules and regulations, but nobody is emphasizing it these days in either of the sampradayas because it's too difficult to follow. There is, for instance, in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, there is what is called Nitya Anusandhanam. Nitya Anusandhanam. These are prayers that they have to chant. These prayers that are given by the different acharyas, and it has all the different Tirupali Eichi, Tiruvaimori, then they have Kanninun Siruttambu. These are all different prayers that the different acharyas have made. And to actually, if you look at their acharya, they say that you should chant these prayers every day. And I learned all this from a Sri Vaishnava sannyasi who follows a lot of these things and preaches to follow these things in Pomona, New York. But even then, he encourages. But actually, if you push him, he says, yeah, these are mandatory, but who's following these days? And he's not able to push because everybody is working and this and that. But actually, if you look at those prayers, they take 1.5 hours to chant all these different prayers. And one thing you can note is that yes, there is no structured um, regulated thing, but but people in the past, they would just naturally spend so much time. One of the reasons Brahmanas, you can read in the Glimpses of Traditional Indian Life, you should read this book, Mohan Madhav Prabhu. You will get a really good idea of a lot of things there. So Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, he published that book. It's interviews with other devotees, and there you will see the life. And you will know that generally Brahmanas in South India, they don't eat anything until like 10, 11 o'clock. So that's why they have a full meal then. Why? Because they had to fast from the morning till all the way till 10, 11 o'clock. They were just busy. They can't eat. They become impure. So the rules and regulations that we actually have are actually very simple. But because nobody else is emphasizing them, it looks like ours is very difficult. This is the irony. But actually ours is very simple. So why are these things required in order to develop a natural thing? Well, the example is that just like one who has jaundice, that for somebody who is in normal, the sweet is very nice. It's very nice to eat sweets. Eating sweets is just natural. You keep giving someone sweets, they keep eating it. So what is the difficulty in eating sweets? Nobody has to force you to eat sweets. You just keep eating. They have to stop you, force you to stop. But for somebody who has jaundice, for him that sweet tastes bitter. And what is the solution? To eat that sweet. So that sweet is given in a regulated manner, primarily because we don't have taste to take it unlimitedly. We will become completely averse if we are told that we have to take this unlimitedly. So there is a certain dose that's given, just like a medicine, because we have to get cured of this disease of material life. That yes, that level of devotion that Bhishma Dev has is extraordinary. But to get to that stage, we need to develop taste. Now, how can you develop taste? Tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam. That if you have greed, you can develop that taste. But to develop that level of excessive greed, that is not very easy for most people. Some people who are extremely fortunate, they may develop such greed immediately and take up to Krishna consciousness so fast, so fast. They make progress so quickly. They don't have these doubts. They don't have these hang-ups. They don't have any hang-ups. They just, oh, Krishna is saying you have to chant attentively. They chant attentively. That's it. How do they chant? I'm trying to chant attentively. There is no trying. They just do it. But for us, there's this mind. It gives so many reasons. We have so many doubts and all this kind of things. So, therefore, we have to understand that a regulated process is required for us in order to set benchmarks, to understand what is Krishna consciousness, what are the levels of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says if you don't chant a minimum of 16 rounds, you're not even a human being. You're an animal. That's a benchmark. So there are different benchmarks. Prabhupada says that if one doesn't rise before 4 a.m., there is no question of a spiritual life. That is a benchmark. So these are benchmarks that are set because it is required. We are no longer living within all these other sampradayas. They practiced Krishna consciousness within the Varnashrama system. And within the Varnashrama system, there were already automatically several rules and regulations that people automatically followed. That was the societal norm. Therefore, it was easier for those who took up to Krishna consciousness then to just immediately take up to the different processes of Krishna consciousness without any difficulty. But that is not the case right now. We are out of the Varnashram society. The entire Varnashram society has completely collapsed. People aren't even able to keep the family unit together. Husband and wife are not able to stay together. Even the kids, they have children. For the sake of the children also, they don't want to stay together. This is the situation that we are faced with today in today's world. Therefore, there is no conception of what is duty. There is no conception of what are basic standards of living. Everything has become okay. A boy becoming a girl becomes okay. A girl becoming a boy becomes okay. Man and man getting married is okay. Hindus eating beef is okay. Well, everything has become blurred. So-called guru, who glorified by everyone. So-called this guru, he drives around motorbikes. He rides helicopters, goes on ski, he goes jet skiing. And he's still considered guru. And he's considered God also by a few people. This is what has happened. This didn't exist like this, in this kind of blatant violation of Varnashrama, no idea of conception of, this didn't exist back in the day. Therefore, these benchmarks are required. Okay, does that help?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for your answer. Very descriptive and helpful. Could you repeat the name of the book again? I missed that.
Glimpses of Traditional Indian Life.
Okay, I'll make note of it. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
if you need it, let me know. we can arrange for it. I don't know, is Tavya Prabhu here today?
Yes, Prabhu.
Very
Hare
good.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I don't know, you might have it. If,
Yes, I have the extra copy, so I
yeah,
can
so
arrange it.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
All right. Okay, Prabhu and Matajis, thank you for attending. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. I hope to. So Saturday I won't be meeting because I'll be traveling. Um, but so we'll meet again, Krishna willing, Tuesday at 7:30, I think, as normal. But I'll send something on the group. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu. Have a safe flight.
Hare Krishna.